The Week 2 Power Rankings are out. I post a new set every Tuesday. And yeah, there's been a little bit of a shakeup. We're starting to see who's good and who's not so good. And down go the 49ers. Let's start there, Chris, with the 49ers dropping from number 2 down to number 6.
Yeah.
Should I have made them go farther down on the board than just 4 spots?
I don't think so. Not yet. I'm okay with what you did there. I understand that. I think what I look at is just this. They were this close away to kind of like blowing that game open early on. So that's where I would go, okay, that to me warrants enough of I'm not going to drop them that low. And Jimmy Garoppolo did not play his best football. We knew they were banged up going into the game a little bit too. But, hey, when you have a punt blocked back in your own area and you give Kyler Murray and company a short field, and you don't make it on a 4th and goal, from a 1.5 feet out, it's the NFL, and you're all of a sudden you're going to be in a football game. I don't care who you're playing. So I get it. I think that was fair.
And if you're not hitting your running backs and your receivers in stride in that carefully designed Kyle Shanahan offense, you're not going to pop the big plays.
That's
like
right.
The one they did for their first touchdown. That Raheem Mostert touchdown was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
Because it was
on the money.
A hit on the money in stride. Isaiah Simmons, I feel bad for the guy, first game in an NFL uniform. He stepped the wrong way, and there goes Raheem Mostert, and we didn't see enough of that from Jimmy Garoppolo and company, but they still have the capacity to do it. They should win the next few games and start to build some momentum, but they're going to be in a very tough division. Oh, and they have to play the Cardinals again after the Cardinals beat them. The Seahawks in the NFC West, they moved up 4 spots. That accounts for most of the disruption in the top 5. I had them at number 8, but after what they did to the Falcons and the way Russell Wilson looked and the promise of seeing that on a regular basis, that caused me to move them past the 49ers who lost, but also past the Saints who won. Because as you pointed out, there's cause for concern with the Saints even though they got the victory. So I said the hell with it. I'm putting the Seahawks ahead of the Saints.
I don't know if I would have done that, but I certainly can understand why. I mean, you're right. There is things to be concerned about, the Saints. They did play a team that we're all looking at going, ooh, they're supposed to be a pretty damn good team this year. But the way Seattle played, I think you kind of hit it. So that's why it's hard to argue. Russell Wilson looked so awesome. And then Jamal Adams looked so awesome on the defensive side of the ball. You just went, whoa, it's kind of changed. If they're going to play this style, and they seemed, and I haven't watched that defensive side of the film. I watched Seattle on offense. I haven't watched Seattle on defense. It seemed like they might have done a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball than usual schematically because of Jamal Adams. That excites me, and yeah, I got no problem with that. Like I said, I don't know if I would have had him jump the Saints yet, but I understand that completely, and Russell looks so good. It's okay. I'll let it slide.
And let me say this about Russell Wilson and Jamal Adams. When I spoke to Russell after the game, and look, we know how Russell is. Russell's going to always say good things about his teammates, as he should. He was heaping praise on everyone. But when I asked him specifically about Jamal Adams, he stopped. And he started rattling off with an exclamation point after every word. Every positive thing you could say about a player. Hall of Fame, championship caliber, leadership, intensity, emotion. It was different. It was delivered differently than anything else he said. So they know they got something special in Jamal Adams, and that helps put both sides of the ball together and puts them in position where they can be really good. And they take on the number 3 Patriots on Sunday Night Football, and that should be a great game. And we got to pick a winner in that one, Chris.
Oh.
We're doing our picks podcast tomorrow. I have no clue. I just feel that no matter what I do, I'm going to be wrong. I have no clue who's going to win that game. All right. The Cardinals, also in the NFC West. I moved them from 20 up to number 12. Hey, they did. Look, here's the thing. And somebody wrote in the document that we used to communicate, confirmation bias for a team that got some offseason hype. Hey, look, I would have put them higher than number 20 if I bought the hype. The reality is they went into Santa Clara and kicked the crap out of the 49ers. They beat them. They out-49ed the 49ers. They won. They wore them down. They won the game. They had the far better quarterback. And I'm not going to say they're the better team right now, but, man, they pulled it off, and they showed me something, and they showed me they belong in the top 12, Chris.
Yeah, I think the thing that jumps out to me, and I know you're probably going to talk about this team next, is that you got 4 teams in the NFC West all in the top 13 teams in football, which is kind of amazing. I hear you there. Can I see the rest of those power rankings? Can we throw that back up on the screen again? I I think you're in the right range for the Cardinals. I don't think I would have put them in front of the Rams. But other than that, I got no issue with it either. Okay, I do. We don't know what the Cowboys are. I think the Cowboys are a better football team than the Cardinals. Okay, I'll say this. Week 1, yeah, I probably would have put the Cardinals at 15. I probably still would have got another week with Rams, Cowboys, Eagles, and just gone with that. Because I'm not quite sure about the Cardinals yet. But there are other questions there about the other teams too. But it's not egregious. I hear you. I mean, that was a big win, and they got some special difference-making type players on their team.
Here's why I moved the Rams up 10 spots. Because even now when I look at it, it's like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah, I would
because
like to know this
they
one.
easily could have lost the game. I
Right.
disagreed with the Michael Gallup offensive pass interference call, in part because I wanted the Cowboys win because I picked them to win. I mean, that's the thing. Who are you rooting for in these games? The team that you picked to win, because you want to be right. I'm not going to root for the team. I mean, we develop a natural rooting interest in all 256 regular season games because we pick a winner for every game.
Yeah.
So, shocker, we want to be right. So we root to be right. And I wanted the Cowboys to win because I thought they would. The reason I put the Rams up where they were, that was an admission by me that I was wrong to have them as low as I did. I misread the room going in, that with all the changes, without Todd Gurley, without Wade Phillips, without Brandon Cooks, that this was going to be a middle to bottom of the pack team. And by holding off the Cowboys, one of the better teams in the conference, supposedly, that made me admit I was wrong. And that kind of a jump. Now, for the Cardinals, the 8-point jump is my regret that I didn't have them higher in the first place. For the Rams, the 10-point jump is they should have been up in that range in the first place.
Yeah, I remember back when you first let out the rankings. I think that was probably my biggest question, right? Was just going, I think you're just disrespecting the Rams a little bit. And not to sit here to tell you like I'm right or anything like that, but yeah, I think when you see them on the field and then you remember like, damn, McVay's a good coach too. I got to remember that. He's got an advantage on a lot of coaches, and the way he called that game. I mean, McVay was the number one reason they won that game. The pace of the offense, all the what I would call bullcrap completions were just their McVay. You could put Johnny from 7th grade out there, and he would have completed most of those passes. There was nothing there. It was just Sean McVay specials. But when you talk about Cooper Kupp and you see the running backs are pretty good, and then you go, ooh, Robert Woods is real good, and then they got a pretty good two-headed monster at tight end. The offensive line's not great, but you can see McVay can make up for some of the lack of like great talent there. And then you say the defense has difference makers. And I think that's where, it's not like the best, most complete football team, but between good coaching, battle-tested, and some real big-time playmakers who can sway the game like an Aaron Donald, a Jalen Ramsey, Woods, and all those guys, yeah, they're going to be a pain in the butt. And it's why I picked them to go to the playoffs. We'll see how it works out, though, as we go forward.
The Packers beat the Vikings, and it caused the Packers to jump from 14 to number 9. Another semi-admission. I was wrong to have the Packers where I had them. Hey, I can own it. I can admit it. We don't know. Nobody knows what the hell is going to happen until it happens.
Yeah, that's right.
The Vikings I dropped from 13 to number 22 because that's where they deserve to be based upon what we saw on Sunday. The last time they gave up that many points, now actually they never gave up 43 in a season opener. They gave up 42 in 1984. That was the failed Les Steckel experiment, the one and done where they went 3-13. He was a drill sergeant in training camp. It blew up in his face. The team was horrible. I don't know that they're quite going to go there, but I don't see this team winning more games than it loses based on what we saw on Sunday, Chris. So, yeah, 22 is where the Vikings are, and they're going to stay there until they earn their way out of it.
Right. Defense, I don't think is elite. Offense is just okay and too predicated on like, oh, we got to run the ball to open everything up. And it's not like they're the Tennessee Titans offensive line or Derrick Henry that way. So I don't know. I got major questions about the Vikings, and I got no issue with you having them right there. I think that's realistically where they are in that range, anywhere from, 17 to 22 or 23. Now, the Packers, the Packers look better than I even expect them to look. And if they're going to have that aggressive nature on the defensive side, on the offensive side of the ball, and attack a little bit more this year through the air with more aggressive passes, they might be on to something. Not to say their team's perfect, but I do like the way it looked, and Rodgers looked really, really good. I was impressed with the way he looked, even physically. Last year I thought Rodgers got it too much into he talked about it. Yoga, staying loose and limber. Tom does this, Brady does this. And I thought there was an issue last year. I wanted to go, hey, you're not Tom Brady. That's not your game. You need to be able to hop around and run and explode and be really quick and explosive that way. And, there was points last year where I swear I would watch games and I would go, he can't fill his pants out right now. His pants are droopy on his butt. And, I look at that region of any football player. First thing I saw in the game on Sunday was I said, Rodgers looks better in his uniform. He looked like he had a little more muscle. He looked like he had a little more pop on his arm and in his legs. And when you have that and you're Aaron Rodgers, you say, watch out.
Maybe he just got pants that fit him better.
Maybe he did, but it didn't look like it by just the way his arms, two quarterbacks that I thought looked a little more buff. Deshaun Watson on Thursday night, I thought he looked a little bit more like he put some armor on because he knows he plays a little bit of a reckless style. And I think Rodgers got back to where Rodgers should be. His movement's still a big part. He can't be like Tom. Tom just wants to slide and be smooth around the pocket. Rodgers, you see, it's spin, flip, run, shoom, and it's just a different kind of game. And he can't make his body to be like Tom Brady because that's not what he does.
All right, the Texans.
Oh, I got a one here for you. This one I don't get. We're going to challenge you on this one.
All right, there's the bottom half. The Texans there at number 17, unchanged from last week, even though they lost at Kansas City in the first game of the season last Thursday night. The Browns, though, sent to the bottom of the stack after losing to the Ravens 38-6. They dropped from 18 down to number 32. What's your problem with me leaving the Texans where they were after losing to the Chiefs, but pulling the plug on the Browns after losing to the Ravens?
Well, this is like something that me and Pete Dimma, little Lightus were texting about last night. Because we knew we were going to talk about this, and we saw your power rankings. So, yeah, we want to pick them apart. But I just want to know, explain this to me, Michael Florio. Okay?
This is
Texans
simple.
lose,
Simple.
Stay at 17 to the number one team in football. Browns lose to the second best team in football, but you drop them 14 spots. Defend yourself.
Well, here's the thing. The Texans, right, they drew a really short straw right out of the gates. The first game of the season, they got to go into a stadium with 16,000 people there on a weekend when only the Jaguars had anyone present by way of fans in all the other games. And I thought the Texans did as well as they could under the circumstances of going in to play the best team in the NFL. The Browns, for all the reasons we discussed earlier in the show, whether it's the ill-advised design of the fake punt, whether it's the refusal to stick with what's working with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, whether it's the Odell Beckham Jr. dysfunction. I mean, once you get down into the range of dysfunctional teams, I started looking at all the other teams, and here's the thing. There was no one else to put at 32. Put the bottom half back up, please. That's why I ended up picking the Browns, because I compared the Browns to the Panthers. Hey, the Panthers did themselves proud against the Raiders. They shouldn't be number 32. The Giants game against the Steelers, a hell of a lot closer than it should have been. Then the final score would suggest they don't deserve to be 32. The Bengals could have won the game or at least forced overtime, but for a kicker missing a field goal. They don't deserve to be number 32. There was no one else that deserved to be number 32. The Browns deserved it because of the way they lost, the way they performed, and the way it's heading. This is the warning sign, Cleveland. You're right back where you were a couple of years ago if you don't fix this now, and the easiest way to fix it is trade Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think everything you said was right. It was a bad look. It was a very bad look, and that was like we talked about. There's no excuse. Yeah, I don't know if I would have put him at 32. I don't know if I would have. I probably would have put him somewhere in that. I probably would have still kept the Panthers at 32. I think I probably would have, even though it was a good effort and they played well. I just think just from what I guess the talent on the roster with the Browns, I still think would verify for me one more week to maybe have them at least 27 or 28. But the points you make are real.
Who's 32 then? Who was the one team you would put at 32 right now? Pick a team and you tell me and defend why you would make them the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I think you could sit there and I like I said, I think you could have the Panthers at 32. I got no issue with that, or even the New York Giants if you wanted to go that way. But it is tough. But yes, I mean the Panthers, it was fun to watch and everything like that. I don't know how good the Raiders are either. I mean the Raiders defense it's stinky. So I guess with those young parts and just, hey, it is week 1, and you talk about, hey, the Browns got the short straw by dealing with the Ravens. The Panthers got the right team to kind of give us a somewhat of a good look in their week 1, and you don't know what to expect from them because we haven't seen what they want to do or how they want to attack, so they had that advantage. But, yeah, I probably would have had one of those teams down towards the bottom over Cleveland and give them a respect one more week. But I get what you're saying. I hear you. I'm drooling on myself. Sorry.
Let's see what happens on Thursday night, though. The Browns host the Bengals. What have they learned from what happened on Sunday? And coming off of that kind of a loss, do you want to get back on the horse that quickly, or do you want to have the benefit of a full week?
I think you'd want to have the benefit of a full week, especially with the new coaching staff still and all of that, to just have a little more time to digest the game. Hey, and instead of a Tuesday now where they're like, we got to get the game plan ready, guys, get in here, we got to have practice, we got to have meetings, everything like that. Tuesday would be a day, if it was a normal week, where the coaches, the organization could all sit down and go, wait, where did we mess up with our plan of attack last week? What are we really going to do with our team here? And I think it lets you, dive into some of the issues with your team a little bit more. Right now, you have no time for that. You just got to kind of correct on the fly. We're playing a team. Let's go. But hopefully they can catch up with the long weekend after the Thursday game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.